Selamat petang ya, Mr. Billy. Ya,
Oh, hai Pak Suwarno.
ya. Nah,
Apa kabar Pak?
baik. Ya, kita menunggu nih dari MC nih, nanti kita akan buka. Hmm.
Oke. Oh, hai Pak Suwarno.
Iya.
Apa kabar Pak?
Ya, sehat-sehat. Baik-baik semuanya.
Menunggu nih dari MC. Oke.
Pak Billy posisi di mana? Di Batam atau di Singapura?
Di Singapura Pak.
Singapura.
Iya.
Ya, aman-aman di Singapura sekarang kondisi ya.
Iya, kita dari setelah Chinese New Year udah ke sini sih Pak.
Hmm,
Ya, and it was all good. Ya.
ya. Jadi benar-benar sudah mulai kalau di luar area sudah mulai buka masker ya.
Betul. Kita di kantor sebenarnya juga pada nggak pakai sih.
Oh, oke.
Ya, karena number of the grupnya kecil kan. Jadi kita juga maksudnya nggak gimana banget. Justru sekarang pengennya malah kena Pak, soalnya kalau kita kena
Yang punya
keluar
antibodi.
ya keluar masuknya udah jauh lebih gampang gitu. Ya,
Dia punya antibodi alam ya.
ya.
Ya. Cuman sih kalau kena yang sekarang kita nggak tahu dapat yang varian yang apa ini. Udah terlalu
Oh, ya, benar.
hangatnya. Marvin, MC Marvin ya. Oke.
Iya, Pak.
Oke, kita menunggu kira-kira bagaimana berapa menit lagi Marvin?
Mungkin kita tunggu sampai jam 8, jam
Pagi,
6.40, apakah aman?
6.40.
Iya,
Oke. Oke lah, 5 menit lagi ya.
iya. Jadi sambil menunggu yang lain juga.
Oke.
Alright.
Sepertinya sudah pukul 18.40, kita mulai saja ya. Oke, selamat sore teman-teman semua. Semoga semuanya dalam keadaan sehat walafiat ya di tengah masa pandemi ini. Mohon maaf kita agak sedikit telat hari ini. Jadi kita mungkin akan mulai saja acara kita pada hari ini. Jadi silakan teman-teman menggunakan virtual background yang sudah dikirim lewat chat dan mengaktifkan kameranya apabila bisa. Terima kasih. Oke, nah jadi pada hari ini kita akan membahas mengenai communication and leadership pada flat organization. Nah, mungkin teman-teman masih belum pernah dengar nih, ada yang belum pernah dengar apa sih itu flat organization? Nah, flat organization itu simpelnya adalah sebuah model organisasi yang banyak diterapkan pada organisasi startup nih. Dan itu dikarenakan kemudahan dan kecepatannya dalam pengambilan keputusan. Nah, jadi pada hari ini kita kedatangan pembicara spesial yaitu Bapak Billy Jantriko. Beliau adalah seorang general manager dari Glins PTE Ltd. Jadi tanpa basa-basi, kita bisa langsung mendengar saja dari Bapak Billy. Silakan Bapak Billy, waktu dan tempat dipersilahkan.
Cool, alright. Thanks Marvin. Ya, kita punya.
Oh, mungkin saya perkenalkan dulu Pak Billy.
Oh, ya,
Ya,
sure.
oke, good. Oke, sorry ya Pak Billy. Ya,
Ya, it's fine. Ya.
it's okay. Ya, jadi teman-teman, hari ini kita kedatangan juga atau kita akan berbincang-bincang sesuai dengan tema kita pada hari ini ya, Communication and Leadership in Flat Organization, dan kita cukup senang di tengah-tengah kita sudah hadir Pak Billy ya. Dan saya akan perkenalkan sedikit apa itu CV atau profil dari Pak Billy itu sendiri ya. Jadi Pak Billy saat ini juga dikenal sebagai General Manager dari International Business for Glins ya. Dan dia juga sebagai selama ini juga telah banyak membantu ya ataupun juga berkecimpung di dalam dunia perekrutan baik itu lintas negara bahkan ya Pak Billy ya. Nah, seperti saya lihat di LinkedIn ya, baik itu untuk Glins maupun juga sejumlah perusahaan-perusahaan yang cukup besar seperti AIA, HRNet Group, FWD Insurance atau asuransi FWD ya. Kemudian juga Pak Billy sendiri memulai daripada Akademi Glins atau Glins Academy dan juga sebuah sekolah di mana untuk melakukan training skill terkait dengan dunia digital itu sendiri, Glins Academy ini, dan juga telah banyak mencetak ya Pak Billy ya, saat ini kalau saya baca di LinkedIn sudah 2000 Indonesians atau 2000 orang lebih. Ya mungkin saat ini mungkin bisa lebih ya mungkin ya Pak Billy ya.
Iya, iya.
Dan juga telah banyak membantu mereka dalam menemukan pekerjaan di dalam dunia ekonomi digital saat ini. Dan juga beliau banyak memberikan kontribusinya juga dalam pembangunan Nongsa Digital Park di Batam. Ya kita tahu sendiri ya teman-teman kita yang di Batam pasti tahu Nongsa Digital Park, yang mana Nongsa Digital Park ini cukup merupakan suatu proyek yang besar, memiliki fasilitas yang baik bagi kita untuk suatu saat nanti berkarir di sana ataupun juga berkembang di sana ya, karena merupakan dua kolaborasi antara konglomerat Indonesia dari Citra Mas Group dan juga Singapore Government Economics Development Board atau EDB Singapore. Dan juga Pak Billy juga memiliki pendidikan yang sangat baik juga. Di sini saya baca beliau adalah lulusan MBA dari Institut Teknologi Bandung atau ITB ya. Dan juga pernah juga mengenyam pendidikan juga di Syracuse University in New York, USA ya. Jadi kita bersyukur kedatangan dan nanti Pak Billy juga dengan pengalamannya akan berbagi dengan kita sesuai dengan tema kita pada hari ini. Tentu sudah menjadi pertanyaan bagi kita, apa toh sebenarnya flat organization? Mungkin adik-adik di sini juga akan ingin tahu ya seperti apa, sehingga nanti bisa menjadi ilmu bagi mereka suatu saat ketika mereka sudah harus terjun bekerja atau mungkin malah membangun bisnis sendiri. Nah mungkin Pak Billy nanti bisa share pengalaman dan juga pengetahuannya. Oke, waktu dan tempat Pak Billy saya silakan. Mungkin kita sepakati Pak Billy mungkin presentasi berapa menit atau nanti langsung sembari present ada pertanyaan atau bagaimana enaknya Pak Billy?
Ya boleh, I think nanti waktu presentasi kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan just pause me ataupun raise your hand karena kita ada reactions kan, just raise your hands right over there, you know, on the other side. Jadi paling itu aja. Nanti saya akan langsung tanggepin dan jawab juga pertanyaan teman-teman biar kalau misalnya sampai terakhir kan takut lupa gitu ya. Ya.
Juga kalau teman-teman nanti ada pertanyaan yang mungkin yang saat ini bergabung di YouTube, saat ini sudah ada, kalau saya lihat sudah ada 50 peserta di YouTube channel. Jadi silakan nanti drop question-nya ya. Mungkin Marvin bisa bantu Bapak ya. Oke, baik. Untuk waktu dan tempat saya serahkan kepada Pak Billy.
Yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, terima kasih Pak Suwarno for the for introductions. It was a very complex one. Yeah, I think probably for today is what I'm going to do is now to share a little bit more about the flat organizations, and it's definitely about the things that we have been experienced when we start the business from zero. You know how the flat organization has been working well for us, and then what was the time when we start to realize that hierarchicals organization is going to work and kicking start, right? So yeah, Pak Suwarno and then juga Marvin, I think it's okay, right, for me to deliver in English?
It's okay, no problem.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, right.
Okay also.
Yeah, I think that would be way easier because you know, otherwise I might be stumbled around bahasa dan juga English, right? So yeah, I think you know, I think a little bit about the experience itself. So Gleans was found around like 2012 back then, when all of the co-founder were stuck into the national service in Singapore, where all of the young people, they have to went for a national service, and then they think about like, you know, what kind of impact and also solutions that we could be able to give it to our, you know, to our young generations, right? At that time, it is pretty tough, you know, for young people like us. You know, we don't have experience, and we are totally zero, right? And then you know, want to help people on that. So it was started with the internship portal, and it being, you know, it being evolved from time to time, and yeah, you know, it's become Gleans nowadays. So I was employees number 10 for Gleans, and then we were starting the cross-border recommend services together with the other co-founder. So the cross-border itself was found in 2017, early of 2017, and then I think it's also played a part of the 50 years diplomatic anniversary in between Singapore and Indonesia. So that's why we create this business to enable Indonesians, Indonesians talents, you know, able to have an opportunity for the international exposure without having a problems of like going overseas, getting a work visa, and then living far away from family. Meanwhile, they just can be, you know, in the country, right? So yeah, I think that's a little bit about the business that we are running at the moment. So for all of you, if you have any friends, family that looking for a job, and then, you know, don't want to be too far from the family, and they want to be based in Batam or all around Indonesia, I think yeah, feel free to drop me a you know, shoot me an email, and happy to assist you guys from that onwards, right? So yeah, I think many. Okay, let's jump into the you know, the you know, the main topics for today. is we're talking about like, you know, the flat organizations in the you know, in the flat organizations, you know, how was the communications, how was the leadership happens, right? So I think I have prepared a quick deck that I will be able to share with everyone. Give me minutes, I try to put it out. All right, seems I got to share my screen. There you go. Is everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, I think it's basically leadership and communication itself in a flat organizations. I mean, I can clearly think about when we just early start our business in Batam at that time, and I was the employee number 10. I think about number 10 in the company, right? So it was very easy, and then, you know, everything we direct report to the CEO, and then, you know, we maintain a very close kind of like communications to the CEO directly, and then we report, you know, to CEO, right? For all of the general manager, we go to the CEO directly. So I think before we go into that far on how was the execution be like, So basically today I'm going to share a little bit of like what is a flat organizations, what was the flat versus hierarchical organizations, how and when is that the flat organization will works, the implementation, the leadership, as well as the communication itself, right? So I think for today, just for a disclaimer, I'm going to take a lot based on my experience in Gleans when we are building the startup, and by the time that we have to meet this hierarchy in the company, right? So, flat organization is basically is the boss, right? Is a co-founder, is a CEO, directly goes to you, right? So there's no middleman. You don't have managers. You don't have anyone else that you'll be talked to. So other than one CEO, and you'll be handling the rest of the company, right? So I believe a lot of young people nowadays, you guys are starting your own business. You have around 3 to 5 employees, managing your online shop or managing your small factory, and basically all of these people, your driver talk to you, your I would say that someone who taking care for the inventory will talk to you directly. Your productions, you are the one who do the purchasing, and even you have a finance guy, or they just talk to you directly, right? So you guys are in a flat organizations, right, where the boss or the leaders directly directly align and have tons of the direct report, right? So has only a few levels between executive and frontline employee, and usually we see that in the two layers, right? There is no more than 2 layers. The first layer is actually L0, and the second layer is L1. That's all, right? So as what I mentioned earlier just now, flat organizations has been used by the small organization or startup, right? When I was first joined with Gleans in 2017, I think that's the point where a flat organization is really implemented on that part, and I believe some of you guys might have that as well with your company, right? So what was I would love to share at that time when we are having a flat organizations. What was very easy to talk to, I think I can clearly feel that mainly 3 things. The first one is the communications. The second one is the team spirit, and I would say team spirit or team cultures. And the third one is actually on the decision making itself, right? So during the flat organization itself, I think the communication way easier. If let's say we need a high level or strategic decisions, we just straight away shoot our make a call to our CEO and say, hey boss, I have this problem, and then how we are going to solve this, right? And then my boss was just like, hey Billy, you do this, and then it seems like that good enough, right? So okay, cool, I'm going to execute that. As easy as that, right? So, and at any time, at any point, when it comes to the decisions making or any kind of strategic implementations, is also way easier, right? Because communication is very short, it's very fast, right? Just because of the comments of the action is shorter as well, right? I think one thing that I would say the team is really impacting is actually the team spirit. So kind of the team more excited as there is less hierarchy. It is also impacting is because of we as a leaders, we are the one who will always cheering up our team. Because as a leaders, we are bringing the cultures, we are bringing up the spirit of working in the teams, the spirit of collaborations, right? We bring it with us in ourselves, right? So wherever we are in whichever team that we are in, it has been usual that those spirit will be coming out from ourselves, right? We will be always very exciting to talk to our team member, and then when it comes to the problem solving, okay, let's come, do it together, right? So this kind of cultures cultivating in the team is very useful when it comes to the flat organizations. Meanwhile, hierarchical organizations have a lot of the opposite, right? But I don't say hierarchical is something that not good. right? But this is just a part of like, when we see a lot of good things about flat organizations, but, and there's why, why not hierarchicals at the first stage, but why we go for organization of the flat organizations, right? The first one is because of like, we don't have much employee at the time, right? I only have about like 5 to 10 direct reports. And then it's very ridiculous if, let's say, I come in and say, okay, I have 10 people, and then I have 3 layers or 4 layers of the organization structure, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense, And I mean, it just clearly not, I mean, based on some books that I have reading for, it is very clear about, within one person, the most effective to manage a team is actually 7 people, right? So, I mean, at that time, if let's say I have 10 people, it doesn't make sense if, let's say, I put in this kind of like hierarchical organizations where it makes a lot of delay in communicating vertically through all of the level. So let's say, level 1, L0, L1, L2, L3, and L4, all of the cascading communications to the team has been way too far. And then, as everyone knows, that the communications can be leaked out when you move from one person to the other person. It's like, you have a pails of water, you move to the other pails, and definitely something drops, right? So, I mean, how come in a very small organizations, like people are not connecting with each other, and then we have those miscomm easily happens, right? I think moving further is basically about the team spirit itself. The collaborating outside of the team as a structure get more complicated, and then team to move people's around is not as easy as when you're flat, right? The last one actually is definitely just because of like the longer communications line, the bigger teams, and the more people that you have to pass through. Just make sure, like, okay, if let's say I take a strategic decisions, I need to approve to my managers, and my managers need to approve to my boss. Like my boss need to, let's say, go to the big boss, right? So it's very slow in decision making, as the structure is more complicated, and every decisions need to go through each layer, as I mentioned just now. So yeah, and then what else I will say that, right? I think another 3 points is around like the business change, the job satisfactions, and all, as well as like the operational cost itself. I mean, the flat organizations is give a lot of opportunity and a best ability for business to change and adapt to the new flow or models, because like the people that you handle is so small, right? I mean, it won't be more than like, I bet it won't be more than like 10 people at one time, because if let's say once you go beyond 10 or even 15, the communications, the miscommunication starting to, to play a part, right, on it. But when it comes to small flat organizations, one boss directly talk to 5 employees, or one leaders speak to the, probably I should use a leaders will be the best, right? So, one leaders, they'll be handling about like, 10 people's, they just can come and they're like, okay, well, guys, as for today, what I learned, what I see from the ground, let's change our way of work, for example, right? Or they come to you and it's like, hey, Marvin, we have tons of problem in this flow. Let's change it, right? And then you just, okay, let's do it. And then you just change it all the way that the leaders has been telling you, right? And I think, this is the way, like, how we can be very agile and very flexible when it comes to the decisions as well. In terms of like job satisfaction, it's definitely because of like you are directly talk to the person who have the visions, who have the missions, and who lead the whole company and got the culture in it. So it's definitely, it's a greater job satisfaction when employees are given more self-directions, right? So it's basically the boss who the leaders who directly talk to you, and you are clear enough, and there is, and well, you just receive it directly from the first person, right? You are not passing through a middleman that probably they might be misaligned as well. We don't know. The next one is actually a low cost, as the level is only a few. No need extra cost for the middleman management. So I think, yeah, definitely, right? So if let's say today I have to hire a middle management level or managers at my very early stage startup, I think I won't spend that money on that. I'll be rather spend on marketing. I'll rather spend on the business expansions instead of like building a middle manager. Why? It's because like at that time in the small organizations, we do flat organizations, and then it's just very easy to manage those 7 to 10 people, right? And I clearly didn't see that there's a need of like the middle management can play a part. So therefore, we just don't do that. So when it comes to the, when we have more and more layers, or we call it as a hierarchical organization, it definitely comes to the less flexibility to adapt. So sometimes, for example, let's say you guys are asking for an approval for an event's expenditures, for example, right? So for example, let's say, Marvin wants to have this event, and then, okay, let's get some money from our rectors, or, from the faculties. And okay, the process will took you about 30 days, It doesn't mean like the deans or the leaders are not be able to give you the decisions, but it's just because of like there's many hierarchy, there are many levels that I have to went through that make it less flexible for them as well, right? So the next one is actually a strain on the employees-manager relationship due to the lack of autonomy, right? Which is sometimes directly with your leaders, it will be really different when it comes to these managers, that managers could possibly went wrong, or wrongly manage team, or don't having a right cultures to manage the whole team, right? So I think that's clearly say that we might not be happy with our managers because our manager sucks, for example, right? The next one is actually the extra cost. I think it's the contradicting definitely from the flat organizations that need a large of amounts of the corporate overhead to support the senior management group, because it's not cheap to hiring more and more executive in your company, right? So from the organization structure perspective, you just can see there's a lady leaders right over there, and then we have 6 people, right? And how about this one? These hierarchical organizations, which is they have 1, 2, 3, 4 levels, right, in a company. Can you imagine that, if let's say when it comes to decision making, that this person, right, need to talk to this, and this one need to check with this, whether they are agree, and this one need to check with this. If they are all of them agree, they can arise it to their boss, right? And this one need to be aligned with this one before they talk to the top leaders. Can you imagine that, right? So you can clearly see the flat and the I would say like the flat and the hierarchicals is totally make a lot of difference. One thing is that I would say that just now the point that I'm sharing with you guys is that flat organizations, and then probably you guys might be asking, right? If let's say Gleans were doing really good in the flat organizations, why not you guys just implement more, and then just go with that, right? But there's some type of the things I have been telling with you, right? So the first one is not optimal for large organizations because because it will be happens lack of clarity on the team communications. Just now in the earlier, if you guys catch what I'm sharing with you, is that it is totally possible like one person handle like 20 or 30, but it doesn't make sense that everyone will catch the same point that what you have been talking about, right? Especially if let's say everyone online, I'm not pretty sure that everyone is aware of like what I'm saying. Probably we just be truthful to ourselves, just be honest to ourselves. Sometimes we put our phone aside and we do the other things, right? Can you imagine flat organizations and online, and everyone do their own stuff meanwhile they are listening to you? I'm not sure how many % of people can do a highly multitask, but at the end, a lack of clarity on the team communication, a misalignment, miscommunications, it becomes worse, right? The next of the flat organization itself, because if let's say you talk to the large group of people who be different, when if let's say I am cascading down to 2 people, and these 2 people to talk to 5 people, right? And these 5 people to talk to 3 people each. right? Can you imagine that? So the smaller group, the focus will be there, and then more conversation will be happens, and then people tends to be more open and ask questions, get the clarity, and yeah, I mean, voila, that's how it wants to be, right? So other than that, it's also difficult by outsider or clients to know who is the best person to contact for any communications for clients, right? So when everyone, just reporting to the same leaders, and then when it comes to a problem, and who should I talk to? And then the who do what concept is not really implemented right over here, right? Because everyone can do the same thing, and everyone just can solve the same problem or handling the same communication. If let's say our clients come and talk to us like multiple times, and it's handled by multiple people as well, right? So other than that, it's also employee can have more than one lead or bosses, right? No formal system, not clear whom to report to, hard to specific the job function, and hard to get a promotions, right? Because we clearly know that flat organizations, if let's say we are going back to this one, is basically this is your leaders. This is the top level management, and where you want to be. Are you going to replace this person as a business owner? Probably not, right? So the promotion things, the promotion wise, has become very, very tough. So yeah, come to this point, right? I think so. In the conclusions, the overall is that the implementations of a flat organization will fail if the organization don't have a good communication and leadership system, right? So then how to implement a good communication and leadership system in a flat organizations like what we did back then? And that's what brought us. I mean, I don't say that flat organization is not good. We clearly go through that before, and now we are there today, right? The first one is definitely on the transparency when it comes to the flat organizations. Why? Because sometimes it tends to be more difficult that you have to be open and to be honest to your boss directly, which is somehow is a business owner or the founder, right? Which is, sometimes, for example, let's say, I mean, a lot of us, if let's say we want for some salary increment, for example, right? That's clearly something that, well, not so easy to talk to directly to the business owner, and you maybe get a decent response, but somehow it could be awful as well, right? So yeah. Other than that, it's also respect all opinions. Can you imagine like everyone in the same role and everyone have a single opinions of one things that you guys are talking to, right? 10 people, 10 brands, and all of them have their own type of the thinking and thought process. So therefore, it's easily to be stepping into each other. So therefore, respect all other opinions is really, really important, right? There's no wrong and right. There's no but it's always an and, right? So for example, given to our cultures, we never say like, oh yeah, Marvin, I like your idea, but seems that it not works if we do this, and this, right? So I think that would be great in our cultures when we have a flat organization. It's like, oh, right, Jason, I like your idea. And how about your idea and this idea, which is your personal idea, combined? And after that, Jesslyn coming in, Janari coming in, and then it's okay. How about and this and this and this? So therefore, we eliminate a lot of like those early thoughts that might not make sense, or early thoughts that can be carried till the end of the decisions, right? And people will be very happy because how about this and this instead of like this but that, right? Again, define of each role is very important to clearly see of like in terms of like who do what, so we don't doubling the work or one person carrying like both responsibility might be very tough because you have the other friends of doing the same thing for you as well, right? So yeah, I mean, your boss can be directly asking you to do the finance as well, but at the same time, your friend might be doing that. It's not easy, right? So the next one is actually 360 performance review is very needed to knowing each other better, right? So when it comes to flat organizations, when we are saying like 360 is basically all people around the room, right? So at that time, we have all of this, what we call as a naked Friday, right? Naked Friday doesn't mean like, I'll be naked. It means that, we have these naked conversations, nothing be covered, and then you just tell whatever that you have to tell to your team, right? And then whatever is going on, and then just be honest, open to the people, and then, hey, this just not make a lot of sense, right? I just can talk to Felix, for example, and then I just can talk to Jonathan, say, hey, Joe, seems like the other event that we have been handling too is not good enough, right? And then Nicholas was not happy as well. Nick, do you want to say something for that, right? So, yeah. It's definitely on the team building will be very helpful, right? When everyone get to knowing each other closer and closer, better and better. But usually in a flat organization, we cross each other because the group of the people is very small, and then we know each other very well, right? Practice the empathy, and also do the one-on-one sessions, as well as the skip level interview, right? So skip level, this one is actually not very much implemented when we are at the flat organizations, but one-on-one session is very important because, for example, I'm a leader, so I'll talk to Wilson, hey Wilsons, what's your problem is, what the difficulties, and then, do you have any problem when you work with Princessa, right? Or do you have any problem when you work with Stephanie? And something that you can be open or you can be done into a big group of like naked conversations, then let's do the one-on-one. So let me, the boss, solve the problem for you, or let me, the leaders, solve the problem for you, right? So I think that's pretty much about the concept itself. And then I'm going to tell a little bit more when it comes to the cleans situations, right? I would say that at that time the flat or okay, and how about Gleans now, right? Probably a lot of you guys might be a bit curious of like what's going on with Gleans now. Are you guys still maintain the flat organizations, or you guys have been moved into the hierarchicals, right? So starting from 2020, we start to see that there is a need of the hierarchicals organization. There's a why behind that, right? So at that time, I start to get more and more people join my team, and it's clearly that all of these people that I'm handling, we have tons of them, right? I mean, I don't say tons, but we have hundreds, couple hundred of people that I'm not going to be able to talk to them in person, right? One-on-one all the time. Can you imagine that? Like, for example, let's say I have one-on-one with one person each day. When I have 100 people, it took me 3 months to get all of the things done, right? But at the same time, I have to run my business, and then we have to take care of the BAU, and then we have to think about strategic things, and definitely, things not gonna work, right? So starting by then, when we realized that there's more and more problems come with things, and then we started to have this, what we call as the hierarchical organizations, right? Where we build our L1, L2, L3, and L4, right? One thing that we do differently when it comes to the hierarchical is that, yes, I mean, we have the hierarchicals of the organizations. We clearly know that, before I'm reporting to my CEO, I will have a directors that I have to talk to, right? So back then, when it was in a flat, it's directly reporting to my CEO, right? So I was getting one level lower than the directors, but which is I'm clearly happy, because in the early days when my CEO has been a lot touch base with me, starting to get rid of, because more and more people that he need to touch base on. The same to me, right? When it comes to my team, that at the first time I only handling 5 people, I can have a touch base every day with these 5 people, and within 1 week I'm done with it. But now every person need to wait for 2 weeks in order I get done with the one-on-one with them, or probably catching up on on the weekly activity meeting with them, right? So this clearly doesn't make sense at all for us. And I feel like I get more attentions when the director coming in, and
I believe my team member will also feel like, oh, after Billy's got his manager, and after Billy hired Kelvin to become his manager, and Chris is a Kelvin direct report, and then it's clearly happy. Why? Because, instead of like waiting to talk to Billy, I just can raise it up to Kelvin, and then the next day Kelvin can speak to me in person, right? So, but then just because of like nowadays we have L0, we have L1, L2, even now we have L5, I would say, right? We are copying ourselves into 5 levels of hierarchy, right? So that's actually one point, is a point that it means we need more leaders, right? When we reach out to the L5. And each of the leaders, we are leading more than 7 people. And that's also the sign that, hey, you need more hierarchy, right? I think even though now it's like we are running on the hierarchical structure, but we are very happy and we are very glad with that, is because we didn't lose chance on the communications, because when it comes to the driving cultures of the company, when it comes of like driving, let's say initiative, right? We implement the flat organizations communications, right? So, I mean, anyone, if let's say you walk past by and you see our CEO, just can stop him. Hey, Mr. CEO, can I talk to you for 5 minutes, right? That's clearly happens. So these flat organizations, for example, let's say my team, I will always encourage them. If let's say I'm not be able to being present for you guys, right? And then why not you directly talk to the directors, right? Because anyway, I'm going to ask for approval as well to the directors, and I don't mind they bypassing me, right? Just because of like I want to maintain this kind of like close cultures, close to each other cultures, and then people didn't feel far even though they are at the L4 or L5, right? So yeah, starting from 2020, yeah, I think it's for like 2020, we have those kick in, and then so far we are running very well, and then everyone is very happy. Our net promotion score for our organization structure was was nearly plus 50, right? So yeah, I mean, in the meanwhile, on the company cultures, let's say into the industrial comparison, I mean, in order to get into plus 30 to 40, it was amazing. But at the end, even though we have been doing it for 2 years, voila, we are still there, right? So I think one tips that I can give to everyone when you guys want to switch is that when you felt like you can't handle the people anymore, which is more than 7, that's the number that I have, but you guys might have your own formula. And the second one, even though you have yours hierarchies, don't forget to always keep the skip level happens, just to make sure people didn't feel the gap of like L0 to L5 is very far, right? So at least you can skip level for two layers down. So for example, let's say L2 or L3 able to speak to the L1, and L2 able to speak to L0, and so on and so on, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty much I will able to share for now regarding about the flat organizations, the leadership, as well as the communication itself. So yeah, I didn't see anyone raise the hand. Probably I'll take a pause here. And yeah, I mean, feel free to raise your questions in Bahasa Indonesia, and that's totally fine. Yeah. All right, I think back to you, Mr. MC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Ya, Pak Billy ya.
Yeah.
Explain ya. Jadi teman-teman, jadi Pak Billy juga sudah menjelaskan kepada kita semua apa itu flat organization. Nanti teman-teman kalau ada yang mau bertanya silakan ya. Silakan nanti raise hand ya, sampaikan ke Bapak ya. Atau kalau teman-teman mau bertanya lewat tertulis silakan di chat room ataupun di YouTube ya, silakan Anda drop question Anda semuanya di chat yang ada di YouTube, silakan ya. Nah, Pak Billy, the first question is from me ya. Yeah. Now if we see the young people now is we call Gen Y Yeah.
Right.
I have also maintained or also joined like a company also. Yeah. And if I see also that many young people is easy get and also easy go.
Right.
So how we maintain this kind of communication, and then how we maintain our leadership in order like to give them, if possible, please
Yeah.
stay with our company at least
Right.
2 or 3 years, because if we work only just 1 or 2 years, I think we don't get any good experience, because we
Right.
do not get the good cycle in the working environment. So
Yeah.
maybe you have a like suggestion for us and also for the young people here. So actually, if we work in a company supposed to be, then how? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's very good questions. Thanks, Pak Suwarno. I would say that I won't say generations Y, but it is easy come, easy go generations, right? That people won't stay long, and I think based on my experience. So again, right, disclaimer for everyone. This is based on my experience. Most likely, those easy come and easy go generations, they would love more attention, right? They want to be, I would say, like sometimes they tend to be more likely to be recognized in a company, right? Or even to be highlights, right? So therefore they feel appreciated, and then therefore they want to continue to distributing, right? So I have seen that, in these situations, for me, I'm very clear that the rewards and punishment need to be very clear, right? As well as like the verbals recognitions, the written recognitions could be given. I think that would be great. As well as like, I think, maintaining the close relationship with them would be also better, right? So I think that's a leader's can do. So for example, to me, I'm very clear to them. If let's say you're doing good enough, I don't mind to say like, hey, you done a good job, Ricky, right? Hey, Wilson, you've done a very good job. But when it comes to the situations that they mess up, for example, right? I will clearly tell them that, sorry, Frankie, you not make up to our standard. You are not at our level. So we want to put you in a performance improvement plan. Do you willing to do that, or you are prefer that you'll be walk away from our company, right? So I will always maintain this kind of like very honest and open communications with them. So therefore they know like how to expect. And I always tell them, right? I always tell them that, hey, I will never ever fire someone with any reason and will take it immediately effective from the day I say like, you are fired. No, I won't do that. You always clearly comes within a lot of reward and punishment first, right? Or otherwise a lot of like punishment, or what probably, in a better term, we call it as a performance improvement plan or PIP. So we'll do PIP, and then we let go, for example, right? So, everyone can have an understanding that, okay, well, my boss has been open to me, and then I'm glad with that. And okay, let me continue. If let's say I got the good job, and then my boss was saying good things about me as well, and being recognized, then, I'm going to stay, right? But again, this is what the leaders can do. I think the most important part is for all of the young leaders, right? Probably I would say like, anyone's in the teams, Jane, Charles, Anthony, right? And many more names, right? So it's definitely put a lot of grit and persistence within us, to be honest, right? How today I'm arrived at the general manager positions, sit in the international sales office where worldwide, where sky is my limit. I can do business wherever I want, right? I only can do business when I have to go to the moon, right? So my limit is the sky. But clearly for everyone to know that the first day when I came into Gleans, I was an intern or I was a part-timer, right? I have a 4 year of experience at that time. Before I joined Gleans, I was running my own business, building business in New York, in Manhattan, running for a family business, and my, juggling in between like, my entrepreneurial life, right? Then when I came in, I clearly know that, you know, I'm switching from entrepreneur life, from entrepreneur into the intrapreneurs. So I have to make sure, if let's say I want to be somewhere, it means I have to contributing more instead of like asking more, right? And I will always have the mindset that the party is over. You know, what is that, right? You know, what's the mindset of party is over? Yes, I can be very happy when I'm succeeding in doing one thing, or I'm achieving X level, for example. But I will never get too long on that. And party is over, let's work more, and what is the better? That will be our targets. So therefore, that does keep us motivated that, you know, hey, there's a next level that I have to hop in. You know, after this party, I'm looking forward to another party. I'm not going to start in this party where people turn on the lights and you are still sitting down there and do nothing. Meanwhile, people has been moving building to the other building, party to another party, and celebrating more and more success. Meanwhile, you just in and out just because you're not walking away from your party, right? Only the one party. So yeah, probably that's the best suggestion I can give for everyone. Yep, Pak Suwarno, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Billy. Okay, there is a question from the chat room from Zoom here, from Tasya Chandra. Okay, I try to read the question. Hello, Pak Billy. Today's topic is very interesting, but I'm quite curious about how the process when Gleans shift from flat organization to hierarchy one. Did Gleans encounter difficulties since it occurs during early pandemics? Okay.
Yeah, so I think thank you very much for the questions, Tasha. I will say that two things, right? Do you see it as a difficulties or do you see it as an opportunities? Right? For us, it is very clear that it is an opportunities that everyone wants to pursue. Right? So probably, you know, at that time when it comes to the flat organizations, to the hierarchy organizations, we have maintained those open communications, right? We have been very honest to each other. No things to be hidden behind, right? And then I'm going to tell my teams that, hey, dudes, I'm so sorry. You know, you see, you know, I have less and less time for you. You know, why not? If let's say I get one person, either I promote or I hire one person, and then you will have more accountability to that person, and you can talk more and solve the problem faster and easier than everyone need to wait for me, right? So I think that's the only things that we did. And I can clearly remember at that time, our CEO writing us an emails, you know, to talk about like there's an old team and new team, right? Yeah, I think at that time, yeah, my CEO writing us an email about the old team and new team. And then he clearly said, like, you know, we know, like, we all know that who has been working with the company for more than 3 years or 5 years, right? But we also clearly know like who are just joined and then less than 5 months, right? But then today, as all we are agreed, right? We are no longer old and new team, but we are one team, right? So at that time, you know, everyone is very supportive to that decisions because like the communication has been met at the very beginning that we all expect, and then we all wanted the change. So that's why it's become very easy because we are all ready, and then we doesn't feel like, oh, you know, you're not promoting me, but you're hiring someone else. You know, we didn't do that, right? Because we clearly see, like, you know, where we want to be and what kind of people that we need to bring in order to grow our company, right? So yeah. When it comes to the, you know, it was happens during the early pandemic, we are seeing it as an opportunity, and I'll tell you why, right? Can you imagine that everyone, you know, as per what I, you know, the example that I've been giving, right? You know, we have Nicholas, we have Frankie, we have Kelvin, we have Chris, we have Sandy, we have Tata, right? And many other people out there. Right, and then all of you guys are at your own premises, and I don't see each other, and I will only able to talk to you only once a week. Right? Can you imagine that? Because I have too many direct report, because I am in a flat organizations. You know what's going on with the company, right? Like probably still, you know, Silvina might be thinking of like, hey, well, you know, my boss never checked on me, and then I'm fine, right? Probably I'm doing good, that's why my boss didn't check on me. But clearly, probably, in fact, it is not, right? So when we implement these hierarchical organizations, we put more middle management leaders to taking care leaders closely and then speak to them more often, right? And then make a phone call to them very often just to ensure all the communication is cascading down 100% well, and then we don't make any mistake on the, you know, on cascading down the communication. And everyone from L0 to L5, we have the same tones, we are speaking the same language, and then we are singing the same song, right? So yeah, this is a very opportunity for us, to be honest. Yeah. Right, hopes that answer your questions, Tasha.
Okay, thank you, Pak Billy. Okay. So far, any question from YouTube? I see there is still no question in YouTube. Okay, then I will move to the next question for me. Okay, Pak Billy. Regarding the communication here, that every time you mention is the communication, but I would like to know what kind of the tools that you use. Yeah, example, if we want to raise up or follow up the issue in your teams. Yeah, this is the first question. Yeah, and then the second question, then how do you manage the meeting to be more effective then?
Right. So I think the first one is actually on the communications of the issue resolutions. Am I right, Pak?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then the following up one is actually the channel, isn't it? So sorry, I mean, I didn't catch you well just now. It's a bit breaking up, but what was the second one? Sorry.
The second one is how do you manage the meeting to be more effective?
Okay. Yeah, I think have few funny story, but probably it's only real, you know, I don't know whether everyone will feel funny on that, but I think when it comes to the issue resolutions, we are all very clear. Again, right? Speak up, right? If you are being silent and no one's know what is going on, right? So therefore, we always try to put people into the situations where skip level, like easier for people to raise, you know, the issue in a one-on-one basis or a skip level basis, right? So that's one. Or if let's say the issue takes a multiple stakeholder to solve it, so we will encourage people to be able to have more integrity, to speak up in front of everyone without hiding anything behind, right? So so therefore, like, you know, everyone will know that, oh, that's not what I mean, right? Probably you get me wrong, or, you know, hey, I have something else, you know, that out of your thoughts, you know, I didn't mean that, right? So I think sometimes a lot of things, a lot of issue was just because of like the miscommunications or the misunderstanding within each other, right? So just be open and speak to the people, be honest of what you feel, because whatever you feel is a valid feelings, right? We do appreciate that. So therefore, we just make everyone sit down together and then talk about it, right? And usually before we come to the meetings, we will always have a reminders that to put down our ego and only focus on the problem and also how we can get out of it and make a solutions on that, right? So I think for us, it's been very clear that in our company, integrity in communication is very, very important. And then we don't make such toxic situations where people talk things behind other people's, right? So we don't want that. Yeah. And then when it comes to the how I make sure that the communications has been cascading down well, right? So first thing first is that when I talk to them, everyone need to do the on cam, right? On camera, especially when we are works further in a distance, remote, right? And then yeah, everyone need to open up the camera. So that's the first one. Or I'll be randomly checking on whoever. So for example, it's okay, hey, Mulyanto, turn on your camera in the counts of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should be ready and sitting down there, because we know, right? We clearly understand that if, let's say, you're going through the meetings too long or sitting in front of with your camera on, there's some terms, there's some modern terms that people is using. I know it's like it's a Zoom shop or some things, right? So you're not feeling comfortable because like you are on cam, and then you have to be like, oh, okay, right? We clearly understand that it's very tiring, right? It's very tiring. You have to looking at yourself. You have to looking for other people's, right? Sometimes you distract with your own face. Sometimes you distract with other people's, right? But we want everyone to be ready. So when I kind of, hey, Indra, turn your camera in count of 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your camera has to be on. We just want to make sure that it is on, right? So that's first thing first. Or we will play the 4 roles kind of things, right? So 4 face in one go. So every 5 minutes, we change another 4 face, especially communicating in a big group, right? So for example, in a big group like this, so for the first 5 minutes, it will be Sandy, Wilson, Princessa, and Chris turn on the camera, right? Even Marvin or Swarno need to turn off. But the next 5 minutes, we will change the people. Frankie, Angelica, Nicholas, Jane, right? Turn on the camera. So keep it switching just to make people like aware about like, that's my next turn. So they won't be do anything else, right? Because basically we just want to get people to be focused of what we are talking about. Last but not least, something that I will always do is that I will randomly choose. So, Franz, can you repeat what was the last discussions? And you recapping for everyone in the room again. So getting people to recap what you're saying, right? So Henry, please do recap of what we have been discussed for the past 5 minutes, right? So we take a pause. So everyone can absorb it one by one, and we have to make sure, right? And at the end of the call, I will throw 3 to 5 questions, and I'll also randomly pick who will be who to answer it. I just want to make sure whatever the information I deliver to a large group, everyone is paying attention and listening to me, right? Otherwise, they'll come back to you. No, you never talk about it. Hey, dudes, I have been presenting for 1.5 hours and you said I'm not talking to you, right? But in fact, you are sleeping. So one of the worst case that I ever encountered is that when I was do a training for the sales team, right? I knew that it was on Saturday morning. Yeah, I think it was on Saturday morning. But it's very difficult to get everyone timings during the work days, right? So therefore, I was excusing and then pleasing for 30 minutes, 11 a.m. call in Saturday, right? Because I just want to make sure I get enough sleep until 10 and 11. They just dial in fresh, right? You don't have to go for a shower, but at least, you are fresh enough to dial in, right? So, and then turns out at that time, I wasn't believe about like turning on the camera. I wasn't play the 4 face in a time until I realized that when it comes to a big group, so I'm trying to switching my slide, right? So this one, a group of 40, I can fit into one screen, right? But in maximum, we only can do 50 screen, right? So therefore, I try to switch to the second page and third page. And I found out actually there is one guy that accidentally turned on his camera and he is asleep, right? He is sleeping, like literally sleeping. I can clearly see his face is sleeping. And can you imagine that? Like, how was communication cascaded down? If let's say I don't pull out all of the attentions by do those few things that I have to do. Yeah. So yeah, hope that helps. And then Pak Suwarno, probably in the moving forwards, when you come into the classes and online classes, you maybe want to get everyone turn on the camera.
Yes, but sometimes, not sometimes, mostly the students said, Pak, my camera is broken, Pak. My camera is not good, Pak.
Right. I mean,
my
in
internet
company,
is slow.
yeah, in company we don't have that excuse actually, right? So yeah, we don't give such excuse. Yeah, if you don't turn on the camera, you get out from my meeting. So yeah. or at least you have to be ready for the camera, right? And my team will easily, oh, I'm going to have a meeting with Billy, so let me prepare my mobiles, right? I provide my mobile, so they dial in, the face is on the mobile, but the voice is goes through the laptop. So that's how they do it.
Yeah.
But again, probably in education matters is
Yeah.
not as such, urgent, right? Yeah.
Oke, thank you. Oke, ada yang mau bertanya lagi teman-teman? Oke, kalau tidak
Ada Marvin mau
silakan.
bertanya.
Oke, Marvin, oke, good.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Jadi, so I want to ask, when a startup has just begun, flat organization is very common, right? And what are the factors that an organization like a startup has to consider in order to shift to a hierarchical type organization? And you talked about the 7 people limit, right? And is there any other like factors that the organization have to consider? For example, like internal factors or external factors, like.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think from our perspective, it's definitely the attentions to the people that you have to give it to your team. That's actually, I think that's the bigger move for us when we felt, there's no longer, we don't have any more bandwidth to manage our own team. So therefore, we have to do that. So it's not only because of there's a limit of number. Oh, wow, Billy is pulling out the number that everyone have to follow. No at all, right? So it is also clearly depends on the bandwidth that you have at the moments, right? If let's say you can do it clearly and very efficient and effective, right? And the business can be scaling up, and why you have to do so, right? So I think the first things first is about the bandwidth of your management team, right? The second one is about what you plan to scale your business, right? So for example, let's say you say I'm going to scale from $1 million to $100 million. Do you think so within the same 10 people can deliver it for you? If you clearly know, then there's manpower planning needed. When you have more people, then it's the time for you to switch from the flat to the hierarchy ones. Yeah.
So it is based on the manpower itself. Yeah? It's mainly on the manpower itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all about the manpower, because it just doesn't make sense, right? If let's say we have 100 people that report directly to one person, we are not going to scale to 1,000 or 10,000 people, right? So for example, let's say today we are talking about what's a popular company in Batam. Okay, Gleans, for example, right? Gleans is a popular company in Batam. Finger crossed. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that I'm not going to manage 1,200 people directly under me, right? So I think that's kind of tough. So that's why we have to divide it and move it into many other teams, many other functions, many other departments, and many other layers within the department as well, right? So yeah, hope that helps, Marvin.
Yes, it really helps. Thank you for the very clear explanation.
Yeah.
Oke, thank you Marvin ya. Oke, teman-teman, ada yang mau bertanya lagi teman-teman? Di channel YouTube saya cek juga masih belum ada yang drop pertanyaan. Di Zoom juga no, there is no, so let's have.
Why, Pak Suwarno? Why not I throw a questions to it?
Yes, okay.
I can randomly choose, right?
Okay.
Cool. All right. I will talk to Felix. Hi, Felix.
Oke, Felix, silakan. Felix Valentino.
Hi, Felix. I'm not sure Felix is there.
Ya, Felix, silakan.
Yeah, seems okay. Well, it's okay. Meanwhile, we are waiting for Felix to set up. So let's move to
Jack Franco.
Ricky.
Ricky, okay.
Yeah. Hi, Ricky.
Ya, Ricky.
Ricky there? Apakah Ricky ada di sana?
Yes.
Oh no, I think Ricky is not there as well. Okay, let's move to L. I see a name only L, cuma huruf L aja.
I don't know who is this person, but hi, Al. Okay, probably I will directly throw my questions. Basically, what I would love to find out from you guys is that what do you think about the flat organizations, and will you do it when it comes to your own business? Okay, so that's my questions. And then, yeah, Charles, you want to give me a shout? No? Stephanie, who else? Wilson. I calling up more name. I don't know. Is Felix coming back? Or Ricky coming back? No, I think we have no luck on this one. It's okay. All right. Yeah, Pastor Arno, back to you.
Franco. Or Jack Franco, maybe you can help. Jack Franco.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, can you help to answer the Pak Billy's question? Yeah.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I mean, Jack, it is clearly not. I would say like it's not a questions, right? But I would love to hear your thoughts actually, right? What do you think about the flat organizations? Are you going to implement it or not? Or when you are running your business or when you're running your teams, are you going to start with the flat first, or you will be clearly manage it in the hierarchical organizations?
Well, from what I heard, I think the fly organization can be very interesting, especially when you're starting off. So for me, I think that it would be an interesting idea to implement the flat organization structure first, because of the fact that when you're starting off, the business is smaller with smaller groups, smaller total of employees. So doing so would be beneficial in general.
Right. So you'll do something flat, and after that moving to the hierarchy ones.
Yeah, that's what I think.
All right. And what is your dream industry that you would love to tap in?
Currently, I am interested in game development, actually.
Okay, cool. Game development, that's wonderful. Right. Thanks, Jack, for for your thoughts. Lovely.
Okay, thank you,
sir.
Jack.
All right. I think we saw a chat coming from Stephanie. I probably will consider to implement flat organizations for my business. Right. As in now, or like when it grows to the big one, you also want to do flat, or as of like it's a kickstart business. Probably would love to hear more from Stephanie. Yeah.
I think it will be easier to use flat organization for the new business and maybe continue to implement when the business grow bigger.
Right. So everyone have this, is following what Glynn has been doing. Yeah. But yeah, I think probably that's the way, like the most effective way, which is, yeah, I'm glad that you guys have been catching up well on that. Yeah. Thanks, Stephanie. So what business do you plan for?
Yes, sorry, Pak Billy.
Oh, what business is Stephanie planning for?
Okay, Stephanie, what kind of the business you plan for?
For now, I currently don't know, but my work is one of the flat organization.
Okay. The current work. So may I check, are you guys coming from a business background or coming from the IT backgrounds?
Personally, I am from IT background and I work as an UI UX designer.
Sorry, can you call one more time?
Personally, I am from IT background and I work as UI UX designer at Grip Principal.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Pak Billy, mostly the student here is from IS, yeah, System Informasi.
Oh, okay. So that's why everyone is doing the
Mostly,
same background.
yeah, mostly also they are my students here.
Right, right, right.
But
Sounds
most
so
of them
good.
also already work in some company, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Okay,
Cool. All right. Any other questions or any other comments or further thoughts?
ada yang mau disampaikan?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, if no, then maybe I add one last question, yeah, Pak Billy, yeah. Okay, I saw that in your explanation about whether the teams have each role, but is that could be a possibility that they do the cross-functional in the flat organization?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. Really possible to have the cross functions, and definitely, we sometime in the flat organizations we even have to, because we have a very limited head counts in order to do the job, right? So double heading is very common, and if even double heading is very common, right? So cross border is even more possible to be happens, yeah. But then again, just because of its flat, it becomes very seamless that whether it is cross department or not, right? Just because of like probably most of us focusing on the same goal, right? And then everyone is pushing towards that way. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So now time has left 10 minutes more to 8 o'clock. Yeah. So Pak Billy can give maybe the like conclusion or maybe could be a suggestion for us also, yeah, as the closing for our webinar. Okay.
Right. Of course, I think one of the suggestions I could give it to everyone is that whether it is a flat or it's a hierarchy, right? One, in order to build a successful organization or successful structure, it definitely comes up from the communications. So when you are a leader or when you are a business owner, you are a boss, right? You have to make sure the communications culture is really there. So therefore, a lot of problem can be can be very flawless, right? Even though it's a bittersweet learning that everyone can get, right? So even though it's a problem, but there's always a learning behind that. As long as everyone able to speak up and wants to communicate it, and the leaders need to be able to to lead that, right? So yeah, I think probably that's pretty much for my side. And just keep lean, being efficient, being an efficient young guy. So don't forget, right? Nowadays competition is getting tougher and tougher. Talent crunch is everywhere. People are hunting for the best one, right? The most efficient one. So yeah, to all of my young brothers and sisters, you guys are clearly heading towards that situations, and then good luck and all the best, and stay efficient, stay productive and efficient. Yeah.
Oke, thank you very much Pak Billy. So, jadi teman-teman ya, Pak Billy sudah sharing kepada kita semuanya pada malam hari ini sesuatu yang sangat-sangat valuable untuk kita, terutama teman-teman yang baru ya istilahnya mengenyam pendidikan tinggi di sini, dan juga ataupun yang sudah hampir selesai mengenyam pendidikan tinggi di sini. Kesempatan kita berkuliah di UIB, disinilah salah satu keunggulan kita bisa bertemu dengan sosok seperti Pak Billy di sini yang merupakan satu panutan dan juga contoh yang nyata bagi kita ya, untuk bisa banyak belajar ya, dan juga mempersiapkan diri kita. Seperti yang tadi Pak Billy katakan, ada dua kata kunci yang harus kita ingat ya. Bagaimana kita supaya mulai meningkatkan kemampuan kita di dalam komunikasi, dan juga bagaimana kita mulai membangkitkan dalam diri kita itu adalah kepemimpinan atau leadership itu sendiri. Nah, tentunya untuk menjadi atau menanamkan satu leadership di dalam diri kita, kesempatan dari sekarang teman-teman untuk mulai melatih diri ya, dan juga bagaimana caranya, tentu kita coba belajar kita dapatkan di UIB ini untuk bisa mendapatkan menggali terus ilmu-ilmu yang bisa kita nantinya terapkan. Dan juga Pak Billy juga tadi menyampaikan ya, di dalam masa mendatang ini cukup sangat krusial kalau kita berbicara lapangan pekerjaan ya, maka Pak Billy juga tadi memesankan kepada kita, ingat jadilah nantinya kita semuanya ini adalah pemuda yang bisa bekerja dengan lebih efisien ya, dan juga lean, jadi dalam segala hal melakukan sesuatu ya kita upayakan sesingkat, tetapi bukan berarti kita asal cepat selesai, no, bukan seperti itu. Tapi kita tetap kerjakan dengan baik, tunjukkan performa Anda yang sebaik-baiknya, dan Anda mampu bersaing dengan sejumlah tenaga kerja dari negara manapun nantinya. Tunjukkan kita Indonesia juga mampu dan sanggup untuk bisa bersaing. Ya, demikian Pak Billy ya, mungkin saya coba menambahkan. Saya terima kasih banyak kepada Pak Billy sebagai pembicara pada malam hari ini. Semoga teman-teman kita semuanya mendapatkan manfaatnya, dan tentunya manfaat ini juga pasti akan bisa kita terapkan dalam kehidupan kita ataupun dalam perjalanan kita nanti. Oke, terima kasih. Saya ucapkan, saya kembalikan lagi kepada MC.
Baik, terima kasih
Pak Suwarno. Ya.
Yes.
Baik, jadi luar biasa ya teman-teman penyampaian materi yang sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Billy. Nah, jadi flat organization itu is all about layer ya. Jadi semakin banyak layer atau hierarki pada suatu organisasi, itu akan menyebabkan kurangnya fleksibilitas dalam berbagai faktor gitu ya. Nah, be it decision making, communication, dan sebagainya. Jadi dengan flat organization kita dapat berbicara langsung dengan CEO kita gitu kan ya. Jadi itu orang yang memiliki visi dan misi itu sendiri. Nah, kita dapat langsung mendapatkan decision tanpa harus komunikasi yang bertele-tele gitu. Nah, terutama untuk di startup kan, di mana berbagai hal itu berlalu dengan sangat cepat, dan tim yang lebih kecil, jadi organization ini juga menjadi semakin efektif di dalam lingkungan seperti itu. Oke, nah jadi sebelum kita mengakhiri acara kita pada hari ini, kita akan melakukan sesi dokumentasi terlebih dahulu. Teman-teman dipersilakan untuk menyalakan kameranya dan menggunakan virtual background yang sudah dikirimkan melalui chat tadi ya. Jadi silakan dinyalakan kameranya bagi yang bisa. Kita tunggu sampai jam pukul 7:58, 1 menit. Untuk siap-siap mungkin download background-nya dulu.
I do that too.
Ayo teman-teman, ya silakan mulai dibuka kameranya, ya. Mulai dipasang background-nya, ya. Pak Billy, I also manage the software house, jovasoftware.com.
Oh, okay. I think Pak Suwarno, we ever connect over a WhatsApp chat.
Maybe yes.
Oh ya, kayaknya sih benar. Ya. Kayaknya kita pernah connect lewat WhatsApp Pak Suwarno.
You may visit to our website jovasoftware.com, and also we manage also one data center, cloudbank.id.
Jovasoftware.com ya.
Yes. Now we try to upgrade also our website. So maybe in next week we will see the new face.
Right. Wow. Why is that jovasoftware.com?
No, Jova.
Oh, Jova.
Jova.
Okay, Jova. Jovasoftware.com. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and also the one data center is cloudbank.id.
Bank.id.
Cloudbank. Cloudbank.
Oh, cloudbank.id.
Yes.
Is that a cloud? Is a cloud data center?
Yes.
Okay.
So we open for the hosting, domain hosting, cloud hosting,
Right.
ES. We provide that one. Even also we offer also the co-location in Batam.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Wow. But usually, if let's say we have the cloud database, right? Kita harus punya yang offline-nya nggak?
Hmm.
Nggak mesti ya. Kalau udah di cloud aja ya.
Yeah, tapi sometimes our customer also request for the offline modes.
Right. Ya.
Sometimes, yeah. So we
I
offer
mean,
that one.
I just very wondering karena kalau misalnya kayak kadang-kadang customer kita yang kayak let's say those big bank, right? Mereka itu tuh kayak selalu mau nanyain kayak misalnya data plan-nya kita tuh gimana, terus ready apa, seperti itu kan kita juga pikir kayak, kan kalau kita di startup kan maksudnya kan jujur aja kita juga nggak mungkin kayak spending kayak 30 miliar, 40 miliar hanya untuk beli satu data plans gitu kan. Jadi kayak, emang kalau misal udah ada yang cloud masih butuh yang on the spot kah, yang on site gitu. Tapi seringkali ditanya sih, jadi kadang-kadang kayak, oh kita bilang nggak ada, tapi kita nggak tahu sih kalau misalnya nggak ada tuh artinya oke buat mereka atau nggak ada terus akhirnya they walk away from us kayak gitu loh. Jadi
Ya, kadang kita temukan juga ada customer yang masih belum terlalu familiar dengan cloud kan.
apalagi yang kayak traditional industry ya.
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 Okay, Marvin, I think we can start for photo taking. Yeah.
Oke, baik. Jadi saya akan ambil fotonya ya. Oke, jadi satu. Oh, masih ada buka kamera. Oke. Oke, jadi saya mulai. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sebentar. Tahan. Satu lagi. 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Terima kasih teman-teman yang sudah menyalakan kameranya. Oke, jadi baik, kita sudah tiba pada penghujung acara kita. Terima kasih teman-teman atas partisipasinya pada acara kita malam hari ini. Saya akan bagikan link absensi di chat dulu sebentar. Oke. Nah, jadi silakan isi link absensi yang sudah dikirim melalui chat. Sekali lagi terima kasih teman-teman atas partisipasinya dan terima kasih kepada Bapak Billy dan Triko yang sudah memaparkan materi yang luar biasa dan sampai jumpa pada kesempatan selanjutnya.
Right, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you Marvin ya.
Terima kasih Pak. Saya nggak ada hostnya Pak untuk recording. Sepertinya Bapak hostnya ya?
Oke, jadi saya langsung end aja ya.
Iya Pak, mungkin bisa di-save recordingnya.
Saya stop recording dulu ya.
Iya Pak.
Oke. You want to stop? Oke, ya.
Oke.
Oke, terus kemudian live-nya?
Live-nya